Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. So today's topic was bank reconciliation and old transactions. There's a reason why that basically I propose that we do this event. And namely, it is a new feature in our version 23.21 that our programmers and developers wrote into this particular version of the software. And we've gotten a lot of support calls on it. So it's something that I felt was warranting of doing a webinar on because I think it offers insight into this new feature that many folks were unaware of, but it's a good feature. You have to know how it works, what to look for, and how to deal with it. So what we're talking about here, namely, is if I go into, say, my bank reconciliation and we choose, say, the account that we're reconciling, I'm going to go down and choose my February 28th, 2022 bank reconciliation. Where the support issues have shown up here, folks, is, and this is, again, the new feature in the software, is my difference to reconcile down here at the bottom right shows a difference to reconcile of 0. So as far as church windows and my bank statement are concerned for my Huntington Bank checking and my February statement, I'm reconciled, okay? Where the issue comes up is when we click the print button down here, and this is not a bug, folks, this is a design feature, okay, is that when we click on the print button and choose the bank reconciliation, it brings up our counting year, the asset, the statement ending date, and we click print. Where the support issue comes up here is, folks just assume, but notice we now have a difference to reconcile here on the report of $215, okay? So again, folks are like, well, wait a minute. If I'm reconciled on the previous window, why am I now seeing a difference to reconcile on my bank reconciliation report? And so to really kind of cut to the chase and make a long story short about it is the software developers for church windows have basically determined that transactions that are outstanding and uncleared that are more than 3 years old are going to drop from the report, okay? The logic behind it is 3 years is more than enough time for us to deal with those particular transactions, okay? And so where we can verify that is when we go, say, to our deposits tab. We clearly see I've got my deposits for 2022 February cleared, but notice right at the top I've got an old deposit income check that was received back in January 31st of 2019, okay? More than 3 years from my statement ending date of my current bank reconciliation. If I also then go to my withdrawals tab, I also see a check for Crop Walk issued on January 15th of 2019 for $465 that continues to be outstanding, okay? So basically we're saying you've got to deal with these, okay? In whatever capacity, okay? That 3 years is a long time to let these types of things kind of sit out there undealt with, okay? So we're kind of forcing your hand in this respect, okay? So the question always comes up then in these particular cases is, well, what do I do about those, okay? Well, it's like you would with voiding virtually any transaction in the software, whether I'm not going to go back into 2019 or any prior year and do anything to change the past, okay? I'm going to deal with it all in this case in February of 2022, all right? And per our voiding checks document, it's voiding checks, this one of these isn't really a check, okay? One of them is also a deposit. But the same thing holds true either way. And you do have a fair amount of flexibility around this, okay? I can go in and I can post journal entries that basically puts $465 as a deposit, journal entry deposit of here that I would then go back to my deposits and clear. And then I would clear the 465 withdrawal in February. Similarly, to offset the deposit, I could create a withdrawal for $250, posting a journal entry. Again, crediting cash and debiting my, a fund balance account. I don't want to distort my treasurer's report in 2022 for something that occurred 3 years ago. So I would post these typically directly between the fund and the asset, okay? Or another third option that I have is that I simply click this $250 deposit as cleared. I click the $465 withdrawal, and then only go in and post a journal entry for the difference between the two of the $215, which I see on my difference to reconcile on my report. The choice is yours, folks, okay? Now, where it may come to play past where you have to make a different decision about that is if maybe these monies were, while they happen to be stored or go in or out of the same bank account, maybe they were represented in different funds on the balance sheet. Okay, so maybe my crop walk money was a pass through and it came out of a liability account. Okay, so that wouldn't affect a fund, but my crop walk would be maybe showing a negative balance of 465, or maybe they never got the check. So maybe I want to put it back, credit it back into crop walk, and then I can go in and issue a check here, yes, 3 years later, and say, oops, sorry, folks, you never got this, so we're going to give it to you now. It's your choice, but you have to determine the best way to proceed. So let's say that that's how we're going to deal with that, okay? We contacted crop walk. They go, oh, wow, that's a long time ago, but, we'll look into it. And they're telling us, they called us a couple days later and said, wow, we never did get a check from you back in early 2019 for 465. And then we've confirmed that. So we go, okay, we've got somewhere we can go with regards to that. Okay. So then my journal entry in that case is I'm going to credit crop walk for 465. So then I can turn around and reissue them a new check in, say, December or February of, or whenever I'm going to do it of 2022. And then I'll go back and I'll post a $250 withdrawal to take income out of, say, my general fund and credit it out of my checking account. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 transactions. So here we're going to go close out of our bank rec. We're going to go up to transactions, other, and I'm going to choose journal entry. Okay, so then here we're going to go ahead and backdate this into February of 2022 because that's the month I'm still working on. Okay. So then we're going to say, adjustment for crop walk check not received in 2019. And here I'm going to choose, say, my Huntington Bank checking. Okay. And so we're going to debit that for $465. Okay. Click the plus sign. Here we're going to, in our next account, we're going to choose our crop walk vendor liability. We're going to credit that for $465. Click done, add to batch. And we're going to go back up and we're going to enter our next journal entry, write off income transaction from 2019 or whatever you're wanting. So again, going to choose Huntington Bank checking. This time we're going to be posting it as a credit to reduce that by the $250. Okay. And then we're going to choose our general fund, general operating fund, and we're going to debit that. We got to get this money out because it's not income we actually have. Okay. And then we're going to click done, add to batch. And we're going to post these. I got them dated right, February 28th. Perfect. We're spot on. So now we're going to go ahead and click post. Okay. I'm not going to print the transactions. Okay. So now we're going to go back to our bank reconciliation for February. Choose Huntington Bank checking. Go down to February. Go to next. Okay. Still showing my zero difference to reconcile. Go right to my deposits. Notice here, here's my $465 journal entry for crop walk. Okay. So I'm going to clear both of these because I'm going to clear the other 2 opposing entries on the other side. So I'm going to check my original income transaction from 2019 is cleared. I'm going to check the journal entry for 465. Notice we're now out by 715. We're good with that. So now we're going to go to withdrawals. We're going to check the $465 crop walk check that never cleared. Notice we're now down to 250. And then we're going to go right down to the very bottom and we're going to find where's our 250? There it is. There's our $250 journal entry, writing off our income transaction. We are now back to 0 on our difference to reconcile. But even better now is when we go to print and print our bank reconciliation report, okay, this was the where the problem really stemmed from. We now show that our difference to reconcile also reports as 0 on our bank reconciliation report, okay? So again, the design feature that we added in version 23 was that the bank reconciliation report will drop automatically or omit transactions, whether they're deposits or withdrawals, that are more than 3 years old from your statement ending date, okay? So pay attention to that difference to reconcile on that report. Don't just assume it's there, that it's 0, okay? Check it, look at it, all right? And then go in and deal with those old transactions appropriately in whatever capacity. Folks, if you require assistance on these types of things, my other technicians are happy to certainly help you deal with these or answer these types of questions, answer these types of problems by helping kind of ask the right questions about it, okay? So now I can reprint my bank rec report. It now matches my 0 difference to reconcile on the bank reconciliation. That income transaction that was outstanding from 2019 has now been dealt with, okay? And even better now is that when I need to, I can now go to pay bills, quick pay, view vendors with a balance, and CropWalk is sitting here with, well, there's clearly another balance in here from a different period, but the 465 is back in there. I can now issue and print a new check to CropWalk and send that to those folks with regards to that, okay? To get them that money that we didn't get them 2 or 3 years ago. Basically, to kind of get to the bottom line of it, folks, is we're just suggesting that you don't wait 3 years to deal with these types of transactions, okay? These uncleared or outstanding withdrawals. I typically wouldn't let them go more than a few months. If I'm seeing them as outstanding and they're not clearing, I'm calling the vendor or payee and I'm saying, hey, did you get this check from us? And if not, I'm going to deal with it in the same period so I don't have to worry about sending money off to, places where, their money's owed to sit until somebody claims it. Those finance claims, that states are often requiring. So, it's better to deal with these things sooner than later. But we're basically saying 3 years is the limit as far as church windows is concerned in the report. Okay? So, again, and whether they're 3 years old or not, again, you can write off transactions in very much the same manner at any point in time. Okay? This is also kind of covered on our voiding checks document as well, is about dealing with old checks that are not, showing up as cashed on the bank reconciliation and you want to void those. That voiding checks document kind of also covers much of what we're kind of dealing with here. Or when was the original check issued? Is there a new check that needs to be a replacement check that needs to be issued for them? Or are we simply wanting to get it off our books? So maybe take a look at the voiding checks document as well, and because that may offer insight as to how to deal with these. But just an FYI, this is what that whole sort of that new feature in version 23 about a difference between the bank rec report and our difference to reconcile on our bank rec is all about. So I hope this helps. That's where we're going to leave this for today.